Oh man, I just groove with that beat, Andy. Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener. This is going to be a great show because we're talking biology and we're talking controlling pests and specifically ants. Now, we've done some ant control videos on this or podcasts on this. So if you guys are here for specifically ants, you can check out some of those as well. But we're going to go a little bit deeper. And there's Andy's book, Dancing with Ants, behind him there. So, Andy, brother, how the hell are you today?
Well, I woke up this morning and I suddenly realized I missed my birthday. I don't know what happened to my birthday. I was going, where's my birthday? What is my birthday? And I missed it. It was last month. So I don't know what to do.
I remember. I think I wished you a happy birthday like a couple of days
I don't
before
know.
on the show.
But listen, it just occurred to me when we're listening to my song and we talked about the biology, that the music is written specifically to affect the biology. That's why it's called inner gardening.
Yes.
Right? This music that I write, I call it inner. I was just talking to somebody about it today. It was so cool. He said that the music can affect the plants.
Yes.
Right? And it does. And so this particular music has certain frequencies that affect, and the plants, we're plants. We're plants.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that affects the plants affects us. It also affects the ants. It affects all the insects, the birds, the bees, the very same frequency that's in that song.
Yeah.
So in other words, you can take, so what I did when I was really early in my youth, I was like, well, believe it or not, I was really crazy then. I have mellowed down since. Maybe my voice has gotten deeper. I've gotten really like,
you got old is what you're saying, you know?
No, of course not. Of course not. I have gotten mellow down. Right. I'm like, hey baby, let's check it out. Let's check it out. Let's chill, you know? But see, we were talking about the biology and how to control ants using the biology, which I've always been doing since I started doing my business. Am I talking too loud or too low? Can you hear me? Because I can't even hear myself. No, this is good.
Oh yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay.
You know, the audience can turn their volume up or down. You know, they can have that option.
I'll tell you one of the secrets is that whenever I do a spraying, you see, I've learned that the frequencies. What's cool about our human body, we can generate every frequency that's ever been created.
Yep.
You know that, right? That's so cool. All you have to do is if you think of a frequency, you already created it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so there's certain frequencies that are very universal. That means that by universal is worldwide. I don't know if it's the same in other planets and other systems, right? Yeah, right. Exactly right. Perfect frequency. And to me, a perfect frequency, if we can get off the subject if we want to, but I always talk about they have the what did they name it? The molecule of God. You know, they came up with a new atom and they call it the God molecule, the God atom.
Yeah, the God theorem or something.
It's called God something, okay? So it's and this basically saying that this is you can't do any smaller or any bigger than this. There's something going on with this particular molecule that's we want to call it the God atom, right? Or God frequency. But what it comes down to is that the frequencies are very cool, and whenever there is an imbalance of frequencies, right? Because frequencies have to harmonize, right? They have to harmonize. Yeah. So when you start doing things that causes inharmony. It mainly causes there it is. God particle. Thank you.
Thank you, Ghetto Heavy.
I'm not making this shit up, man.
I couldn't just remember the term.
God
thank
particle.
you to Ghetto.
Exactly right. Yeah. And so that the God part, in my opinion, it generates a certain frequencies that's not only worldwide, not only universe-wide, not only time-wise or dimension-wise. See what I mean? I like in the Marvel comics, multi-dimension, multi-universe.
Yeah.
Well, there is such a thing as the multi-universes, multi-universe, and that has to do.
It's right? I think we're in 7 to 12 dimensions now. Is what the physicists are saying.
The physicists
proven.
Physicists, right? They have to prove it. They can't
Yeah.
say, well, it's a trillion uh, universes or a trillion dimensions because we can't prove it. And
Yeah.
my proof is you actually can go to that dimension. That should be proof enough. Your consciousness can take you to that. If you wish to understand your think of energy, frequency, and vibration, of course, Nikola Tesla is my man. I can tell you a lot about Nikola Tesla. I have the autobiography of Nikola Tesla. I do. I'm really a little bit of a very crazy nut. I understand everything that he's doing, and I can tell you I was him in my past life, but I'm not going to tell you I wasn't, because I read his charts and I'm going, holy crap, yeah. So I love the I got into that a long time ago.
Yeah, it is centuries old and
Super
beyond.
string theory, exactly right, and I find that really interesting because it's a so whenever there's inner harmony, 12 dimensions are just the tip of the iceberg, okay?
Yeah,
because I've learned that each dimension has also 12 dimensions within that dimension. So how many dimensions are inside each of the dimension? You can go infinitely one way and hit infinitely the other way. A proof that is happening. Look at a what is it called?
Black hole?
Huh?
Black hole?
No, there is it's like a drawing. It gets smaller and smaller and larger and larger. What is it called now?
Oh no, that's not in my vocabulary. That
one.
one.
Yeah, there is. But I can't think of it now. That's what happens when I get real spaced out because it doesn't. But it's a. I almost said it. I can't help it. Stop it! All right. Basically, what it is that it's an image that can be multiplied over and over again, smaller, or multiplied over and over again, larger.
Okay.
Right. There's a name for that. Come on, guys. You're listening to me. One of you guys put it up there and tell me what it is, because you all know what it is already. Just don't.
Well, we'll say cheers and wait for somebody that remembers it.
I almost had it again for some reason. I think. Well, you know what's going on is that this current new moon and full moon thing is really interesting. What's going on up there now, energetically wise.
Yeah.
And I almost had it again. This stupid name pops in there, looks at me, and I go, okay.
Okay, is this it?
Spiral. No, but it's close. The word spiral is kind of, you can almost get it out of spiral, but it's not a spiral. It's something that looks like a spiral, but it's a certain name of what it does, what it's called.
Well, I got
it. It's a fractal.
A fractal. Okay, right.
It's a fractal. So a fractal, and we can get off the subject, but I'm on the subject because I am the subject. So when I'm talking the talk, if you guys want me to talk about ants, you just gotta say, I need to know more about ants, because that's part of the reason I guess you're watching. I don't know. Maybe you're watching because you just want to see what's gonna happen, right?
Just never know where we're actually gonna go or end up, Andy.
But look, show. I can talk to you about fractal later, because there's a specific formula that generates a fractal. And I encountered that formula while I was
you were tripping. Yeah. Okay.
And I got the formula, and I wrote because it's a language of it's a written formula for God. It's the closest you can come to it, because it tells you how the universe or the multiple dimensions and everything works.
Yes.
And what's interesting about a fractal is that it's chaotic except for one part. And right, it's chaotic except for one part. So, look, let's go back up to the second up with that one there, the dark blue one with the black. No, to your right, that one, right. Bring that one, click on it for a second. The one to your right, the other right, that one, yeah. Click on it.
The blue, okay.
There you go. So that fractal, it's a formula.
Yeah.
See, and in that formula, there's on the very tip over here, you'll see a tiny little spot. See the very little spot lower, down to the left, the other way. On the other end, this end over here, right? That keep going, keep going, keep going. That's it. Keep going
And
towards
you
point. That one. You
over
passed
there.
it. You passed it. That one. The little one you just passed.
Oh, this
That
one
one.
right here.
That one. That one. Right. So that one there represents peace, represents harmony, represents, and the rest of it is chaos. And that's the way the universe is. And if you were to go up and down, where by down I mean you can zoom into any part of that. You're going to repeat the same fractal over and over again, or you can expand it. You zoom out,
Okay.
and that explains. It's very mind blowing because it's actually we're just like one of these fractals. We're one of these dimensions, one of these fractals. But there are other fractals, right? When you zoom in, you see another one. You see another one. That's exactly the way this whole existence, this whole galaxy, the whole universe, the dimensions, and everything is. And so that explains it. But what's really weird about it is that I think eventually it stops. You can't go out anymore, right? You can't. This is the maximum you can go out, or the furthest you can go in. Somewhere in there, that tells me something interesting, and I haven't figured it out yet. But
okay, well, when you do, let me know.
What? When I do, let me know. Hi, Broken Spectre. So what I've learned from here's some of the secrets that I've learned from trolling ants. First of all, it tells me that there's something wrong with the biology every time, and not just ants, but all diseases and pests are soil borne. That's you. Oh my god.
Yeah, but I just muted the ringer.
Oh my god, that's never happened before. I'm in shock. I have to go lie down. What? Where was I sitting?
It's not like you don't normally get a phone call about this time of the
day. I was expecting that. I truly was. So I've learned, and so I started doing ants treatment. I remember I started doing my first house call was actually about ants.
And the ants were calling.
Exactly
okay,
right.
Yeah, the ants were calling.
You have to be careful. They have spies.
Back, Andy.
They have spies. They want to say, "We're watching you. We know where you are." But actually, the title of this book my book is called Dances with Ants, and it's because you can communicate with the ants. That's a whole different story than to use the biology. But see, here's the thing. I use the biology as a way to communicate with the ants.
Mm-hmm. And with the trees,
of course. But I'm just talking about the ants right now. How I can get my message to the ants that there's a problem if you're in my house, or you guys are like really overdoing it. And they would tell me, because I communicate with the queen, with the ants, to have I have an understanding that I can understand them and they can understand me. And basically what they're saying is, dude, look, this is not our problem. It's my job. When everything's a mess, we take over. And it's perfect environment for it, because you don't have all these stupid microbes, all this biology get in our way.
Yeah. You don't have to get in our way.
Right. We like this. We like this environment. We're going to be a trillion ants right here because there's nothing getting in our way. In a normal soil environment, we're kept to a certain level because we're needed, but we're kept to a certain level. We can never get an infestation. Right. So I just told you guys everything that I learned. It took me 50 years to learn in 5 minutes. For crying out loud.
Frickin' balance already.
For crying out loud, right? But that's it. That's basically it in a nutshell. So every time and it still is to this day, because right here where I just moved to, there's a massive ant colony on the front, massive ant colony surrounded by massive ant colonies all over the place.
Yeah.
I've already had a conversation with the ants. I said, okay, stay out of the house. Everything's cool outside. Now I'm talking to them. Okay, look, I want to have worms in the soil. And I know you guys love to eat worms, but that's not going to work for me. You can't do that because they will eat the ants. The ants will eat the worms.
Larvae. Oh yeah.
Right. Well, not only that, but they're meat eaters. So ants are meat eaters. You know that, right? They'll go after the worms. So have you ever seen a battle with a big worm and a whole bunch of ants? How they tear them apart and they carry them away?
Actually, I haven't had that opportunity, and I don't know if I want one. I feel bad for the worm.
I know. So that's why when with my worm farm, one of the things I have to do is because it's in a container, right? It's above ground.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a little jail. So I have to tell the worms, listen, I understand this is like a little jail, but if you're in the ground, you all disappear, and you're really here, you're working. You're basically my little army making me this liquid, and I have to take care of you, but basically I will protect you. And so I have them in a cattle broth, which are sitting, which reminds me, I have to go, I forgot now. But I finished building it. They're in water now, but water does not stop the ants. Once the ants find out there are worms in there, you know how I know? Because they have these warrior ants, they're ants with a big.
Yeah.
By the way, ants are a female-run organization. All the males do is have sex once a year. Like 4,000 males will try to mate with one female, and one will do it. The other 399 will walk around. Did you get it? No, did you get it? I did. And they all died, except for the one that made it.
Okay.
See, right? And so, but I don't know. I'm talking ants. So
yeah.
I've learned from experience that you kind of have to have a balance. I would say, okay, ants, you're welcome to flow through here. You're welcome to, do your thing. But no, you cannot go around attacking my worms. You can't, because the ants don't. They do dig in down to get to the worms.
Yeah.
Right. So, but interesting is the worms have their own protection. When they poop and when they do their liquid, that's the biology that controls the ants. So you have enough worms, right, doing their thing, the ants can't get anywhere near them because it's saturated with this liquid.
Yeah.
And the liquid is what I spray. I take advantage of it. Okay, you don't like this liquid when you make this liquid. You don't like this liquid. You make this liquid. You don't like you make. Oh, I got it. Yeah, I'm going to take this liquid. I'm going to take this liquid and I'm going to give it to them. And I'm going to make more of this liquid so I don't have to. Okay, all you have to do is give me a gallon. I'll turn it into 50 gallons and then use that. And what's so
one
cool
beautiful thing about worm bins is you can take what they create and make an extract from that, and it goes a long way.
Tell me about it. I just finished doing a series. So part of the series is my poor worm farm has moved 4 times in 2 years. Okay, we had a red ant colony living. Could you?
Yeah, hold on. We had a red ant colony living at the end of the driveway. Big colony by the mailbox post. One day, they were on the march across the driveway. I stayed well away.
Yeah. So
they bite. They hurt.
Yeah. They're local. They're dealing with ants is a very interesting thing because I saw this movie where it was a science fiction movie where these ants have mutated from nuclear radiation to giant ants. It was a giant ant colony, right? And in the beginning, the ants show up. They're fighting the ants. They're fighting. And the airplanes are coming. They're shooting. Blah, 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 boom, boom, boom. And in the end, as the dust settles, the ants are still there and there are no people.
Yep.
And so the ants, you can't fight them because there are trillion, billions, zillions of them.
Yeah.
You know what happens if you kill 100,000 ants? The next day, you're going to get 100,000 ants taking their place. Yeah, you want to try it again? If you kill those 10,000, 10,000, if you kill a million ants, 100 million ants will show up the next day. Yeah, let's try. No matter how many ants you kill, they will generate more ants. Because that's what one of the structures is. How can we make more of us as fast as possible? Because that's the thing that we have an advantage of. We can attack big guys, and no matter what it is, we will have zillion of us, and we can bite and we can sting, right?
They've made some really interesting movies. Killer Ants. It was set up in 1850s or something in Africa, and the ants came and just overwhelmed everything.
Yeah. And so I've learned to dance with them. Is an ideal way to say it. I initially, like these ants, I'm saying, look, let's live together. You guys, you have a whole forest. You can go out and just do whatever you want to any worms, whatever is out there. I can't control you. But here, I would like to have a little peace. And I really don't want to plant something that all the ants are going, excuse me, we are here. And I'm going, right? And so, and most people would like to get ants out of their garden and out of certain aerospace. They don't mind if the ants float around them, right? They float around them. Because that's
just don't crawl onto my sandwich already.
that's what, that's one of the things when I gave a talk, I used to give lots of talks, and I would tell people, what you have to do is get the ants to flow around you, go to your neighbors, go to everywhere they go, just go right around you. And you could literally do that simply by having the soil biology. So to me, the soil biology is the army, right? We have this army, and you can learn how to use the army against other creatures that you don't really want, that you want to control, because the more biology is in the soil, the less of any pest or disease. Remember, all pests and diseases start in the soil, and they only start in the soil because the biology is not there to control them. The biology
it's like a tree disease, Andy, on the bark. Actually starts in the soil, with the biology not being able to build the healthy cells. So the tree at that point starts to split, and all of a sudden you got a woodpecker there because there's an ant there or a bug there trying to break in through, because it's not strong enough. If you have healthy plants, they don't show up at all.
So in terms of frequency, that healthy plant was giving off a certain frequency when healthy. Yeah. When it wasn't able to give off that frequency because it wasn't getting the nutrients and the minerals and whatever else is needed, it sends off it changes to a different frequency, which many different bugs and diseases will go, oh, look at that. Yeah. Bing! Right?
Well, they tune into that. Calling them, come eat me, break me back down.
They tune into it. They tune into it. So they get to see, not only see it, because that frequency also means a different color. A tree gives off a different frequency, i.e. a different color. So a lot of insects will see the color before they even sense the frequency. Oh, look at that color. And the color is a certain frequency, so you're looking at the very same thing. See, right? Right?
So that's what people need to understand, that a photon of light is so many different frequencies in one photon, right? And it's just how it's being used.
Right. And so, and Mother Nature is all the insects, and even the biology of the birds, all the bees. The bees, for example, they have amazing eye structure that tunes into all these different frequencies of color. And I kind of think they also tune into different dimensions as well. Huh? Isn't that cool? Yeah.
That's possible, but a bee, just to let you know, Andy, because I've studied bees quite extensively, can actually turn off their color vision. They only use it when they go out in search of pollen and nectar. When they're returning, they shut it off because it actually takes resources that they just went out to collect, power that in their bodies. So they shut it off on the way home.
That is really cool. And because from my experience, and I'll tell you guys a secret, because I don't know if you know that I can able to see. I see sound and hear colors.
Yeah.
And so that also translates to people's colors, people's energies, and frequencies that they give off. And I know I can turn it on and off. That's the thing. Because as I was growing, it was very difficult to look at people and go, hey, mommy, why is that guy purple, orange, green, red? Oh, mommy, I would walk up to I remember walk up to somebody and says, you don't look really good. You're not doing really well. And I told my mom, I think he's going to die, Mom. And the guy, she said, shh, don't.
You're not supposed to tell them, honey. You're not supposed to tell them.
But I didn't know that, because you see, that means that you can't turn it on and off. As a human being, us people. Yep. So what I see is people have it off.
Yeah.
They walk around with that extra vision that you can turn on off.
Yeah.
It's simply a matter of turning it on, because then you would see that everything's basically so intertwined, energy and frequency and sound. I mean, a lot of my music's, it's really cool because you don't have to really hear them. You can actually see the sound that it generates. I want to get a oscilloscope or some device that actually shows you how the vibrations changes the sound. I've been watching some YouTube stuff where they have this device and they play a certain song, and you see how the device changes the structure, the geometry of it, because there are certain structures that correspond with certain frequencies. It's kind of cool. That's why the pyramids are there. That's why you have all these things on all these different structures around the world. Basically, they're tuning into that particular frequency that the universe You know that the structure generates that frequency, like the pyramid
Yeah.
shape generates that frequency. See, right?
Mhm.
And so, but for me is what's really super interesting is the interaction between different biologies and how they handle all these different frequencies together. It's so freaking amazing, right? And they intertwine together, and it's not like us humans having different languages so we don't understand each other. But
Right.
imagine if everybody in the world talks the same language and intertwine better, right? Or harmonize with each other, because that is
Yeah.
the problem we're having now. Is we're causing so much disharmony in nature that the frequencies are no longer functioning the way they're supposed to be. There are lots of things are dampening and causing disharmony. Can be very, very strong, powerful weapon that can be, you know, by disharmony means that certain frequency is not happening in that certain part of the world, or in the soil, or in people,
Yeah.
and that's what causes a lot of diseases and a lot of pests, especially in human body, but in the soil is always translated to uh, plants and trees. And I relate to trees a lot because trees are very clearly will tell me if they're functioning correctly, because they will glow a certain really cool glow. I have
Yeah.
some pictures. I have some drawings that I can probably show you next time about what I see in terms of the energies that the trees put out.
Mhm.
You'll be able to see that a little bit more easier. But yeah, and then when they're not, so when I go do a house call and I know the tree is sick, I can tell by looking at it because it's not glowing. I'm going,
Yeah.
oh, poor thing, right? Poor thing. Now what's going on, right? It's like I was going to say 9 out of 10, but 10 out of 10 times. I mean, every time it's the soil. There's no way it cannot be, right? There's no
Yeah.
way you can have a healthy tree and sick soil. That the tree must be like in a giant container. Even then, it's still not won't be healthy, right? So there's no
Yeah.
way to do that. You know,
Well, if you don't have the life in the soil that supports the life in the tree, you don't have life.
right. So
It's really simple that way. Like it's
life dies from a disease or pest. That's what's going to take life away.
yeah. Well, it's the disease or pest is literally there to break that tree or that plant or that animal, etc. Down into its component parts to put it back into the system for the next generation that's going to be growing in that soil.
So what we want to key into, and it'd be really cool if everybody here will get into their genetic being, that the soil biology can be used as a tool first to communicate with anything you think is a pest.
Yeah.
If you think something is the pest, first of all, that pest is telling you there's something wrong with your soil.
You're out of balance.
I was giving a garden talk the other day, and I'm going to probably run some of these a little few minutes of each talk through here, probably next coming shows. I have to edit it a little bit,
Oh,
but
cool. Thank you. I love it when you share, Andy.
what did I do? What did I say?
You
Yeah,
said you were going to show some of your garden talks that you've been doing
yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
this is an organic garden club, okay? And everybody there, you think organic gardener. So being an organic gardener, you just don't have any pests or diseases. So I
Yeah.
said, okay, does anybody have any problems? And they said no. And I said, okay, so you guys are telling me you have absolutely no problem. Everybody's cool in their garden. Is that right? They go, yeah. I said, anybody have an ant problem? Everybody stuck up their hands. So I'm going,
So you
well, I
just
guess,
told me you didn't have any problems.
yeah, I'm going, I guess you misunderstood me, because, yeah, you have an ant problem. And I would tell you, you don't. I wrote an article not too long ago. You don't have an ant problem. You have a soil problem.
Yeah.
And that explains it really, really very simple. And it's the same thing with diseases. So you don't have a disease in this tree or in this plant or the roses, or you name the disease, it's a soil problem. And
Yeah.
because it's a soil problem, that means the soil can fix it. The biology can fix it. So
Mhm.
the first thing you want to do when you have a bug or a disease on your plant is to say, okay, I want to you should have on your property some good biology. If you have no biology to work from, then you're in trouble. So you want to go to where you know, if you have a worm farm. Look, if you had a worm farm, you had good biology, you wouldn't be having this problem. So I would look at and say, where am I getting my biology from? Where would you get your biology from? You're going to dig it out in the corner of the property. You're going what are you going to do? The odds are, if you're just going to dig it out of your property, you're not going to still have the biology missing, right?
That's right.
So you
And
have
it,
to.
it it can be as simple as an collection of an indigenous microorganisms or an IMO that they teach in Korean natural farming,
Right,
to grab that biology
right,
that's from a healthy area to bring it onto your property.
right, right. So that would be the only first thing I would do. As I gave the talk to you at this garden club, I said, okay, one of the things you guys want to do is you want to drive around town. If you see a place absolutely growing amazing and everything's humming and I would go there and say, do you mind if I take some of your biology to my place, please? And they will just give you a little bit of their biology, because a lot of times if you don't have it on your property, you want to look around where it's really happening, because
Yeah,
you should have it. So in other words, you want to have on your property a way to generate more biology.
yeah,
If you think about it, the biology is constantly being attacked by chemicals, chemicals, chemicals. Unless, so one of the things you absolutely have to do, and you guys should, you really should get that affiliation for the water filter people. You should call them up and say this, because this is a great company that you can filter your whole property out, all the chemicals out. And here in
Andy,
Malibu,
do you have the an affiliation with the water
no,
company? Because we can
no, they
just
said you don't have enough followers. Get back to me when you have millions and millions of followers. And I'm going, you don't understand. This has to do with the garden. I guess nobody will get a filter for the garden. You're absolutely crazy. I go, but it's for the garden. And it's like I got this customer. He's a famous movie producer. I showed you the little clip of the video he made with me,
yeah.
because we're going to be doing more stuff. I'll show it to you. I just have to think about it, because I've spent thousands of dollars with this guy. I'm trading with him, but he did this video, so I think it should be exclusive. I don't want to show it to you guys, but you saw it already. But on the other hand, it's a really good ad for me. It really is. It has Invisible
Didn't
Gardener on
we
it.
play it on the last show?
Yeah, no, we didn't. It was off the air, and I showed it to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So anyway, what was I talking about?
Uh, well, the soil biology, and it is at the root of all disease and illness in plants and in humans, actually, too. But
Yeah. I was talking to somebody today about the biomeme. So I have one of the shows I have is called The Doctor and the Gardener.
okay,
And so we relate to each other in a lot of ways, in the sense that the biology in the human body and the biology in the soil are identical in many, many ways. They
yeah,
both have we both have a common ancestor, where a common origin, where we come from. We all come from the soil, see, right? It's not like the soil comes from us. We come from the soil.
and we grow up eating dirt if we're a kid playing outside.
Yeah, we all automatically go.
Biology.
I always thought, hey, this is good. I would never call it dirt. Dirt is like yucky, right? Dirt is like what you sweep out of your house, right? He's driven three types of people. What is this? You guys, well, okay, what are you talking about now, diggity dank?
Okay,
Huh?
I've driven with those types of people. I get if they allergic to bees, but people that freak out over moss or
Oh,
any
yeah.
flying bug or something. So
Yeah.
somebody was freaking out about a bee in a vehicle, and if you're allergic, yeah, my dad is allergic. I remember he parked his truck in the middle of Main Street in our hometown, blocking traffic, and stumbled into the doctor's office to get a shot because he'd been stung. You know?
So you want to get immediately a way to constantly be resupplying the soil with as many different types of soil bacteria as possible. Just growing plants is not going to do it, because that's only one type of soil biology. And what I'm doing in my garden now, I've already found a place for worm castings, and a lady makes some really nice worm castings. I already found another place. A guy, and I have to get that. I've already invited him on the show.
Mhm.
What's going on is that I need to. I originally was going to get him on my show, and everything's like really slow, like molasses. But I think what we'll do is I'll give him your number, and he'll work out when he can be on our show here because he does
Sure.
biochar. He does the bamboo vinegar, which is absolutely amazing. We can talk more about the bamboo vinegar, and he does a really nice, wonderful compost with all the biology in it as well. See, so I would like to have him on. But so those are things I'm already adding. I'm getting into my property.
Yeah.
I'm also bringing to my property as many different types of. So I have the worm farm, which is really cool. I have the worms. So that's a very important. It's a very easy thing to do is to get a worm farm going on your property. Very easy. Once you learn how to take care of these worms will provide you an incredible resource for your property on a regular basis. Because what you do is you spray it, you put it in your water. Every time you do something with the water and the plants, you give it to them. You'll be surprised. Look, I've been doing my garden February and March, and maybe in April, maybe not February, but March and April. And you're not going to believe what's there now. Because when I started, it was absolutely nothing. Where I'm at now is like, oh, I have these sunflowers that are almost up to my waist already. And I'm already eating. I've already eaten. What is it? The start of soil biology exchange. That's why I get compost. We need to start a soil biology exchange. That's why I get compost from a few reputable places for diversity. Exactly right. So, what I'm always looking for is other people who are growing. That's why I joined a couple of different type of organic gardening clubs. So one of the things I tell people, you better bring some compost along because I want some of your compost. If your biology is any good. And plus also seeds is a very good thing to exchange with them or plants. Little plants are really the best because you also get their soil biology with the plants.
Yeah. Built right in already.
That you put into your property. So the more diversity, the way nature works, the more diversified is your soil biology. The more the odds are that one of those biologies in there, one of those microbes, one of those enzymes, one of the bacteria are going to be effective for this disease.
Yeah.
Right. And so you don't really have to say, which of these guys do I have to use for this disease? You just have to give them get a really nice soup together of everything you get your hands on.
Well, what do you get when you get sick? You get a chicken soup, So it's a biological soup.
Exactly right. So that's what you want. It's a biological soup that you can use. And I've learned that it works. What it does with the insects is that they don't like it. It affects them, and they'll leave, but they will come back because the real cause is that the plant is still deficient in the trace minerals, and that's what's causing the ants to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
So you cannot.
I just want to put this up for Diego. 1 gram of soil could be or up to 8,000 to 1 million of different bacteria species, from bad to best, forced thriving soils, and up to 10 billion total microorganisms. Now that, baby, is big diversity.
Exactly. So imagine how a homeowner's property would be.
Yeah. Well, depending on stuff you're dealing with in Malibu, they got dirt. They don't have soil, so they don't even have a whisper of that.
And I think that's the way in a lot of places. It really is in a lot of places. They have absolutely nothing there. In some places you're lucky that you already have a lot of soil. It's just a matter of keeping it together, right? To learn how to use clean water. Learn how not to, but you're still damaging. So you want to slow the damage down. You actually want to stop the damage. Like this guy's on his 32-acre property. He has the ability to increase his biology over and over again on a regular basis. I'm going to show him how to rotate his fields with different plants. I'm going to show him how to have animals on his farm that he rotates throughout the property on a regular basis. Things like that. What type of plants you can plant, and how teach him about rock dust. So, but the ideal scenario is to have as many different things going on as possible there.
Yeah, the more diversity, it's biodiversity.
Right. Then you learn how to use. So in the old days, every organic farmer would use every little bit of whatever when they killed an animal, for example, they would take everything and use everything from the blood to the bone, and it'll make this tea and that tea and this mixture. Yeah. And so you get really good at That's what biodynamics is basically about, getting plants and getting the biology together. So Will Steiner talked about the stomach of a cow. That it's I was just told recently that it had more than 2 stomachs. I don't remember that. Was it you?
No, the cow has 2 stomachs. One that is a pre-digest, where biology starts the process of breaking it down. Then they chew it, break it up more, and it goes into the second stomach for processing the last time.
Or maybe it was another animal that had more than 2 stomachs. I don't remember now.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the stomach of a cow is very unique in that it has a particular type of microbe that I want to get because it actually what it does is it breaks down the nutrients from whatever it comes in contact with, whether it be biology or mineral or whatever it encounters. It will break it down into a liquid form that is acceptable by not only other biologies, but they will transmit it to the trees. And that's interesting too, because we had talked about how you transfer. Let's see, you had called it. Wait, don't say it. Don't say it. Horizontal gene transfer.
Yep. There you go, brother. Horizontal gene transfer.
Yes, I have been frequently discussing my horizontal gene transfer, and but
I don't know if we're going there, Andy. Okay.
That's exactly what we're talking about. So getting the minerals from there horizontally, because it doesn't go. It has to go this way in the soil to these trees, and you would think that the trees are like right next door. They could be literally a mile away.
Yeah, easily or more. Yeah,
in the root system. So that is fascinating. How and what for example, if you have this guy has 32 acres. One of the things I'm going to do is do a search of the property, take soil tests all around it. You might be surprised as to one part of the property has certain minerals, certain properties that are wanted by another part of the property. It has 4 stomachs. Look at that.
Yeah. Okay. See,
you were wrong.
I have been known to be wrong before, and I'll be wrong again.
I should have bet on you. Thank you, Diego, man. Thank you. Yeah, 4 stomachs. See, that is so special about the cow.
Okay.
Hey, Philly boy. Yeah, we're doing good, man. Because it gets reprocessed and then reprocessed and then reprocessed. Oh yeah, and then reprocessed again. So when that stuff comes out, so it has this each one of the stomachs has a different microbial biology in there.
Yeah, and Diggity's saying that sheep and goats are the same as well with 4 stomachs.
Where does it say? Oh yeah, cows and are ruminants. Where does it say?
Ruminants.
Goats are the same. They have 4 stomachs. Well, that's interesting too, because I've always been looking for the sheep. I mean, for the cow, but absolutely correct. Sheep and goats, because one of the things I like about sheep and goats is that their poop is in little pellets.
Yeah. Same with alpaca and I think llama as well.
Llama, right? They're the tiny little pellets. So it's a slightly different product, but the pellets. Now that I think about it, I made a product called Malibu Gold, and it was basically made from llama manure. And so I found that these little pellets are incredible, and they have a really very good biology. Like once you get it out into the soil, it's actually that's how it helps things to grow really fast. So yeah, thank you for reminding me, because I have to because I especially deal with llamas, and that reminds me I don't live too far from a big llama farm, and I'm going to go over there and I was going to say, hi, remember me? I used to come here and these guys would have like 10 llamas, and they make 150,000 each llama. And when you poops regularly 3 or 4 times a day, they would take and throw out in the backyard. That backyard is like Dinosaurville. Things are like growing really super giant back there. I'm going, holy cow. So I bet you they're still throwing away. But I'm going to have to go on an adventure and start looking, because I want to get a couple other different kinds. I know I can't get chickens here, but I do have a customer that lives 5 minutes from here. So I'm going to tell her, maybe I can trade you for something for your chicken manure, right? And a little bit of, because I would love to get some of the chicken manure, and they also have rabbits. But the idea just came to me that I can also, advertise in the city. Anybody have any animal? And as a matter of fact, I just thought of another one, little Sioux. There's a couple of Sioux around here. because I want to go and get a couple other different kinds of animal manure, include them into my compost. I'm going to make the compost, but I'm also going to feed them to the worms.
Yeah.
And increase the biology there. What I just did recently, you might find interesting in terms of the worms and biology. But one of the layers that I make, so I use cardboard and newspapers, and then I use a little bit of compost.
Yeah.
One of the layers is biochar.
Okay, is that something new that you're doing, or have you been doing that for a long time, Andy?
Oh, I was doing that for a long time. I started getting, well, by a long time, he says, in the early days, no, in the early days, I didn't know about biochar. So I would make compost from a variety of different sources, but I didn't really put any biochar in there. I didn't start doing biochar until maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
It's been a couple of days, in other words.
Something like that, right? And throughout the years, so recently, more and more people are doing that. I was just at a burning. They call it a burning with my friend Michael. He's the guy I'm going to have on. It's called Blue Sky. So look up Blue Sky chart. He's the guy to look at. Bamboo vinegar, amazing for the biology.
Cool.
And I can talk about it, but this guy is the guy who produces it for himself for a living, and so he can really talk about it. But I added, so I've been getting biochar from him, and I put that because I've been using biochar not so much for a long time, but not for the worms, but I've been putting biochar under the plants, under trees, in the soil, people's property. I was at the beach today. I came back with 5 nice chunks of this. Really looks like biochar to me, and that's what it is. I'm going to break it up. I like the small ones because you can literally bury them into the soil.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of customers, and I'm going, next time I go there, I will look around, I'll dig a hole and bury it nice and deep, because that, especially near the root system of the soil, because that's going to, and then when I spray, see, my biology that I spray will colonate there. Because I have mycorrhiza, I have all variety. So when I make a liquid, I also make a liquid of a blend of different types of biologies. I was just thinking about today, there's probably 2 different kinds of biologies I wouldn't mix. So when I was talking to somebody about grains, because I can take not sugar. I could take rice, right? I could take rice. I could take rice and make a liquid out of it that I can spray, which has something to do with lactobacillus. Right. And so lactobacillus, I don't like mixing with my other type of soil biology, because I think they're totally 2 different. They don't work too well together, I think they kind of muck up each other. I'm not really sure. It doesn't feel right to put the 2 together, even though what I'm learning is I want to use a little bit of the lacto with a lot of the soil biology liquid.
Yeah. Well, you have to consider the lactic acid bacteria is the most prevalent bacteria on our planet.
Yeah.
When you're doing your rice water, that is what is falling from the air itself and landing on that, and that's what's creating that. So it is everywhere. But yeah, if you in yourself feel that balance, you need to find the right balance, then follow that, because I trust that. Over 30 or 40 years you've been doing this.
Here, I do something.
A lot of scientists.
The way it works is I do something, and then I go, wow, right? Or I do something else, and I go, So I learned that to blend the 2 together, because I can make it a pure spray. So I can, from 1 gallon of this liquid, I will scrape the top off, have that liquid, use that liquid, make 20 gallons of it.
Yeah.
Then I would go and do my services. So I fill up my 100-gallon tank and throw in another 10 gallons of it, right? Instead of 20 gallons, 2 gallons. It depends on. I've learned that there are different strengths that you can go with when you're spraying. Right. So when I first go out to the first time to do somebody's place, I want to introduce the microbes in a slow, steady pace. Yeah. Right. But you also want to talk to them about spraying on dead soil does nothing, because everybody dies. You want to spray on soil that has that has the organic matter, that has a structure that will allow them to live. Right. So the object is I'm inoculating this. So a lot of times people get wood chips, for example, or they get other kinds of organic matter that will then get inoculated. And especially it's very good if you happen to put this biochar into, turn it over into your, you can take biochar and turn it over into dead soil, inoculate it, and within 6 months to a year, you have more organic matter accumulating. I don't know how you have to add, because I don't think it comes from the air. Maybe leaves fall on it, because that should be a normal thing, because you also have to teach them. You have to stop taking away everything that falls to the ground. You really got to stop doing that. It's a bad habit. I mean,
food. It's
food
for the life.
Right. There's a week gone by that I don't have to tell people, no, don't throw that away. Don't do that. No, don't. Yeah. Like where the place I work at, the gardener loves to just he fills the garbage cans up with stuff every day and hauls that stuff away. But I'm taking it and bringing it back, and I put it in the back in a certain place. Within a month, it turns into, especially with all this rain, and rain is very clean and distilled, and the whole thing just turned a rich dark brown. I put it back out again. Within a few months, it's like it's back as soil. And so anyway, let's see. Are we getting time? We have, okay. So the secret really, the most important thing is to have a generator of your biology. You want to have something generating your biology. A good farm always has animals which are constantly generating the biology, right?
And compost and stuff like that. And in your case, a worm farm now,
right? So you have to do what you can. So you want to get as much incoming of this biology as possible. If you don't, then you're working the other way, because it doesn't really work that well. Things start to die more and more. You have more and more problems. So you have to learn to be spraying the biology. The foliar is really a cool way to get the biology onto the leaves. Normally, the biology is supposed to be on the leaves. There's a certain type of biology that's supposed to be on the leaves, underside, on the upper part. It's also supposed to be on the bark. Only using word counting microbes and mycorrhiza. I killed the spelling. What do you do? He did something. I mean, what happened here? I don't know. I lost it. Something happened about. Yeah.
No, he's a new grower. And he has a plant 2.5 months old. It's 3 feet tall. He's learning how to grow from the conversations we're having and the conversations on this network overall. And he's seeing the benefits of what and why we do what we do with biology.
So fighting the evil, the fastest way to get the fastest result is foliar spraying. You can do whatever you want to in the soil, but that's going to take time. It's going to take time for it to start functioning more and more and more. So you have to constantly be applying the biology. And the best way to apply it is in a liquid form. You can spray the leaves, soak the soil with it. So you can do that on a regular basis. You're going to find it's going to start build up faster and faster, especially if you spray the leaves, because they will absorb it. The microbes will start. See, they don't. The environment is so bad that they don't live on the leaves very long. That's not natural. The way it's found in nature, they live on the leaf all the time. In a rainforest and in a natural environment, they will live on the leaves, on their underside, on the trunk. They'd literally be in the air all the time. We have the environment so toxic, you don't have the biology you normally would find everywhere. So you have very limited, and it causes major problems. I'm surprised that people are not dying faster and faster, which I think they are.
We won't even go there, Andy, because we know they are. We know how polluted our environment is. We know that there's microplastics in the air that we're breathing, for God's sakes, let alone in all the soils on our planet. But we are fixing this one step at a time, one garden at a time. You know, I know of properties 100,000 plus acres that are 100%, doing organic properly. And there's a big difference, because, regenerative, organic, no-till, Jadam, there's so many methodologies, but it all boils down to getting the biology back into the system, starting with our soils, which puts it into our plants, puts it into our animals, puts it into us, and the cycle of life is restored back to where it needs to be. That's why you and I are here doing these talks, Andy.
Yes, I agree. Let me answer fighting that evil when you say you're spraying nitrogen on my leaves. That you were saying I was spraying nitrogen on my leaves and the lights off, but never noticed a difference. And so I was just wondering what kind of nitrogen you were spraying, and why you didn't notice the difference. So it could be any number of things why you didn't know. I would say, what kind of nitrogen are you using? Because normally, if you add spray nitrogen, yeah, you would notice a difference. So it really means that either your nitrogen is not a good quality one that you want to use, somehow it's not being absorbed by your plant, or it could mean the plant's not able to absorb the nitrogen. And again, I would ask the question about why spray nitrogen in the first place, because ideally the nitrogen should be generated by other things and then your source of nitrogen. So that usually means there's some microbes not there. They're supposed to, because they're microbes, biology live in the soil that generate nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
that's
and he's saying like he's got 10 years of growing outdoors. He's new to growing indoors for the last couple of years.
yeah.
And why are you needing to spray nitrogen on your leaves at all? If you're in a soil system, then it's there or should be there, and especially in a lights off cycle, most of the time, you're taking that out at night anyway, and giving the plants a chance to breathe.
So you shouldn't be spraying the nitrogen at night.
Yeah, I'm curious as to why he would try to spray. Like, I know plants grow at night. That's when the lights go off. The biology clicks into develop cell mode instead of dealing with the photons of energy coming in
It
during
doesn't
the
need the
lights on.
nitrogen. It doesn't need the nitrogen. It's more than likely another mineral, like it could be even iron, it could be potassium, phosphorus. Any one of those could be not at the level required to make it to notice a difference. So what I would do is look at what's your overall fertilization schedule. What are you feeding your plants? And so you want to have as highly minerally rich nutrients that you can give them. You want to concentrate on now the night. There's actually 118 minerals.
Yeah, and he's talking seedlings in veg, so these are baby plants.
Right. So the foliar, this is even more important because they're not developed yet enough to be getting what they need from the soil, unless you make the soil very, very rich. But if you make it too rich, they die. So here's where foliar comes. So you have to learn to do a little better trip about your foliar spraying. You don't want to spray any one particular. So you're spraying nitrogen. It should be a blend of a variety of other trace minerals, a very small amount of nitrogen. You should have calcium in there. You should have iron in there, magnesium. Those are some of the basics. You even should have copper in there. You have phosphorus in there, of course. So you want to have a blend of all these things in the right small, tiny amount with little tiny bit of nitrogen. You're going to see major results. And, of course, the microbes. You can't just spray these. You have to spray them after the microbes. So you want to feed that to the microbes. Then you want in your liquid, you want to feed that to the microbes in the liquid. That's why what I do is I use rock dust, a couple of different blends of rock dust. I put them in a container. I add maybe 1 or 2 pounds of each of the rock dust, so I can have half a bucket of this container. Then I pour in my microbes into that bucket, stir it all up till it becomes and then close the lid. Leave them there for a few days. Let them go at it. I'll take that what liquid I get out of that and dilute that, and that is my mixture that has all these trace minerals. You can take that and dilute it again to a smaller amount because you only need a tiny amount to do your spraying to foliar leaves, foliar feet, and you learn what amount to spray. A tiny little thing, you spray a little bit. The plant gets bigger, you give it more and more, and you'll find that if you learn how to mist it just right, they're going to respond to it as they grow. They'll need more, and they will respond to it. And there's a certain point that you should stop doing that because that's no longer needed for their production because they're going to go into buds and they're going to do something else that they need a entirely different diet for.
Yeah, exactly. That's why there's veg formulas compared to flower formulas. But right. Andy, we're like just not even a minute out. Just wanted to mention you were talking. You had a new book or something. You're going to be releasing soon, or?
Oh no, I'm working on a person's farm, a 33-acre farm.
Okay.
I'm basically writing a manual, and it's going to turn out to be a book.
Okay.
So that's going to be interesting, and we're going to talk about it here too.
Yeah, and I also want to point out that guys, if you want a great way to relax, go over to SoundCloud and
Thank you.
get on the Invisible Gardener. And most of the stuff there is binaural, so you're gonna want to actually use headphones.
Just have fun.
Uh,
Don't drive. Don't drive.
yeah, don't drive while you're listening.
Don't
But
drive.
guys,
If you want to take your speakers out, play them in the garden.
well, yeah, yeah. Well, and I know Gerald Pollock on Monday was actually mentioning some of the work that's being done on sound for plants, and
Yeah.
it's releasing some really interesting
Yeah.
stuff that's going on. But
Yeah. Yeah. There is. I've been doing that forever.
yeah, all right, guys, peace out. We'll see you next Wednesday.